So I was like, wow, like that actually like went somewhere because I was myself. Like I actually was like, I can be playful with this guy and maybe it will lead somewhere, maybe it won't, but it went somewhere I didn't expect because I was myself and I was like, let's just have fun and see what happens.
Hello and welcome to the Christians Who Date podcast. I'm Andrea Alley and I'm sitting here with Lauren Bornique.
Hello.
And Kalli Christopherson.
Hey there.
And the three of us are Christians who date.
We are.
Wait, what?
So
that's what we're doing?
And we're hopping on this podcast to talk about all things dating, especially as Christians, because it's a totally different thing. And I feel like today's episode is really going to fit with the title Christians Who Date, because we are literally going to talk about how to start dating. If you feel stuck, if you are like, I haven't been on a date in 5 years and I'm tired of just waiting around, and you're just like frustrated because you're like, nobody's asking me out. This is your episode. Guys, there's going to be some stuff for you too. We're actually going to share some tips specifically for you. What are the ladies looking for? How can you break the ice? How can you initiate? All of those things.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. So, Lauren, did you want to add anything of what our goal is for today?
Our goal for today is that you could get a date. If you haven't had a date in a while, and I mean, no money guaranteed, no money back guaranteed from this, but our goal is that you would feel empowered, that you're like, oh, I could try this out or this. If there's someone that you have your eye on, or there's a stranger you met and you're like, I just want to go on a date with somebody, like, this is for you. We want you to feel like you have different ideas and ways that you could get a date than just maybe sitting and praying and fantasizing and hoping that someone will ask you out. I want you to
Fasting.
feel really,
Start fasting.
You're like gaunt. You're like, just give me an In-N-Out burger. Maybe you can go to In-N-Out and find a date there, you know? So we want you to just have opportunities. And we're just going to share stories of what we've done. You don't have to use them, but we want you to see that there's so many different ways that you can find a date, even in the hardest of places, as people say, like LA or Montana or Andrea in Texas. You know, these hard spaces where nobody dates. You can find dates. There's a plenty of people that want to go on dates. So yeah, that's a little bit. Kalli, you got anything?
Ooh.
I was going to say real quick, sorry.
Go for it.
I was just going to say that I'm the least dateable when I'm fasting. Like, just,
oh gosh.
I'm just angry. I don't want to talk to anyone. I get so angry.
It's super awkward if they're like, well, do you want to go eat somewhere? And you're like, well.
Oh yeah, there's that too.
I've never had this happen. I don't fast really. So.
I haven't had this happen either, but I'm imagining it would be difficult.
Yeah.
Nobody has asked me on a date when I'm fasting because I'm mad at the world.
Yeah, they're like, that girl's terrifying. And she's like, take me to eat right now. So
I always think it's gonna be like such a spiritual experience, and then I'm just like,
just mad.
We're talking about fasting.
Yeah, sorry. Lauren's like, we're still talking about fasting.
We have to help people get a date. Okay, Dre, you gonna start us off?
Yeah, well, actually, Lauren is gonna kick us off because she is a master at initiation.
Yes, she is.
This girl, I mean, my jaw's on the floor, basically, watching this girl initiate, just breaking the ice. Like, you can't even go anywhere with Lauren without her making like 5 friends along
no
the
shame.
way. So
no shame.
But she's smooth. Like, she's honestly smooth. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, we didn't know this guy, and now we're talking to him. So
now he's our friend.
Yeah. So I can share a little bit. I mean, I do think it takes like an element of confidence of just like, hey, that person might totally not be into me. It all started back in middle school with Kurt Chavez. Kurt, if you're out there, he's probably married.
dropping his name right now.
I think it's fine. I remember Kara Crute and I liked Kurt Chavez. He sat in front of me.
So much name dropping.
But literally, these people are not ever going to listen to this. So
Somebody's sending it to him right now.
No, I promise you. There's like 1,000 Kurt Chavezes. Okay. So we both liked him. I knew she liked him. I liked him. This was 6th grade. And I literally went up to him and I said, Kurt, we both like you. Kara and I both like you. Either you pick me or her. And he picked me.
Yes.
So what I'm going to say with that is that's kind of been an element of my personality. But I did go into a time in high school and in my 20s where I had this weird belief that guys have to ask me out or they're not like real men or real leaders. And so the right strong man will ask me out, and if not, then they're not like worthy of me almost. But then it ended up being I played these like weird manipulative mind games, I call it, where I would like kind of like friend them, like try to get them to ask me out. And I was not being like clear and upfront with my interests in the guy, like at all. And so, oh, is it breaking up? Is it breaking up?
Oh, it did on my end.
It did for a second. I'm trying to figure out why, because it did not do that the first time.
I don't know why. I think it's maybe where my house is. Do you guys think I should move or keep going? What do you think?
I think you can keep going. Honestly, it still picks up all the audio after the fact.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we'll just move it around. Okay.
Yeah.
So
pick up wherever you left off.
So I think I just like for a while had this belief like the guy has to ask me out or like they're not a real man, which is a crazy, crazy belief because I'm a very confident woman. So a lot of guys actually said, I didn't even know you were interested in me, Lauren. Like, I didn't even think I had a chance. And so I realized over time, I need to make it more clear that I am interested in this guy or I'm not going to get any dates. And so I think that's where I started to change like my attitude towards it, where I was like, I need to be like more clear if I'm interested in someone. So that has been changing. It's not like I'm like, hey, I like you, but I'm more just open, especially the past couple of years, of being like, do you want to get coffee or you want to grab a meal or anything like that? One way that I started dating a guy was I remember we were both like working out at the gym and I just, we kept eyeing each other and giving those eyes where I was like, okay, I think we're checking each other out. Gym eyes. And I just said, I was like, hey, you want to go on a run? And he was like, I don't have the right shoes. And I was like, I'll wait. And he was like, oh, whatever. I'll just like run with these shoes. So we run. We're just talking to each other. And then we passed this like coffee shop and I was like, oh, that's a good coffee shop. And he was like, do you want to get coffee? And I was like, yeah, let's get coffee. And it was just like so natural. But what it was is I was the one who started that conversation of like, hey, would you want to go on a run? And I think it's just like breaking the ice of like talking to someone. And that's how I had a couple weeks ago, I was running again. That's like maybe just where I'm out in public. And I was running and I saw this guy, we kept passing each other running and we're both stretching at our cars. And I just yell over to him and I was like, hey, I was like, how fast were you running? That's all I said. And then he comes over, we start having a conversation. And at the end of the conversation, he asked for my number. So, and that's the first time I've ever had a guy like that, like rando like that. I felt really good about myself. I was like, yes, I had someone ask me for my number. But even that guy said, hey, I'm actually afraid to talk to women first in public now because I don't want them to think like I'm a creep. And I think there's something to think about that is like we sometimes have to break the ice if we want to get to know guys. And it doesn't mean that they're not leaders or chivalrous or whatever. So
they're just trying not to be creepy.
They're trying not to be creepy. And sometimes they can't read our minds. Like we have to be clear. And that doesn't mean that it's not a back and forth. And so I think that's a little bit of like initiating is like, if you want to talk to someone, just freaking go for it. And I've had times and I'll share this and you guys make fun of me about it, but I don't care. That person better ask me on a date one day. But there was a guy that my friend was like, hey, I want to connect you with this guy. So being open to being set up with your friends is really, I think it's good. Like telling your friends like, hey, if you know of someone, like set me up. It's like the best way. Sometimes I've had really bad dates that way, but sometimes you can get good ones.
And you're like, maybe we're not friends.
Yeah. Or I was like,
Maybe
that
you hate
friend,
me.
I give them the benefit of the doubt and I forgave them, you know? So for setting me up on a date with a guy that I was like, the guy was a jerk. So there was my friend was like, oh, I want to connect with this guy. And she gave my number to him. He never reached out. And I was kind of like, well, I'm going to reach out to him then because I haven't heard from him. And I did through LinkedIn. So because I didn't have like his Facebook, I'm not on Instagram. So I messaged him through LinkedIn, like, hey, my friend said we should meet up, like, da da da. And then that person was like, great, what's your number? Let's meet up. And I gave my number. And then he never followed up again. And then I followed up a couple months ago and he completely ignored me. And that guy's a fool. So, not
you can say his name on here. No,
no, it's okay. It's okay. I hope I still get a date with him. He's actually really cute. But so I think it was.
But I would still be open to it.
Yeah, but it's like kind of embarrassing. I'm like, I literally asked someone through this like business connect thing, and this guy's completely ignoring me.
Yes.
And it's like kind of you have to be willing to, in a sense. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. You have to be willing in a sense to be rejected as well.
Yeah.
And make mistakes, and it might be embarrassing. And that's like we're talking about movement, which I'm gonna hand it over to Kalli to talk about creating movement. But I think it's being willing, like, yeah, like to make movement means you're gonna sometimes make mistakes, or people are not gonna want to date you, or people are not gonna be interested in you, and that's okay. But it's taking those risks that I think you're going to see things happen through it. And it's really fun. If anything, it's really fun. Like just to see like, I just asked this person out and okay, they don't want to get to know me, but it was like a thrill for a second. Okay. Kalli, you are a queen of flirting and creating movement. And we adore Kalli for the way that she flirts with people. It's hilarious and amazing.
Good at flirting.
She's so good at flirting.
So good at.
So how have you, Kalli, like, what's the art of flirting and how can we flirt?
Wow. What a great question. So I want to talk about what you said with creating movement, because I think that has played such a big role for me when it comes to flirting, when it comes to dating. And so side story, Andrea and we lived together for 5 years. And we'd have this
in a town of 90,000 people. So talk about not having a lot of dating options.
Yeah, it was slim. But we had this joke that has to do with a Bible story. So pretty much any time we would have something small happen with a guy, like, oh, like, I don't know, this guy talked to me at a coffee shop, or like someone winked at me, like literally the smallest things. We would say, oh, celebrate the cloud the size of a man's fist. And that has to do with this Bible story. So I'm just going to reference it here.
This has to do with flirting?
Yes, it does.
We'll bring it on.
So the story of the cloud the size of a man's fist appears in the Bible in 1 Kings 18:43 through 46. In the story, Elijah tells his servant to look out to sea, and after 7 attempts, the servant sees a small cloud rising from the sea that is the size of a man's fist. Elijah then instructs the servant to tell Ahab to prepare his chariots and go home before the rain stops. Shortly after, the sky becomes covered with clouds, and it begins to rain heavily. So in that story, like, there had been no rain for like years and years. And so they are waiting for it to rain because God said it was going to rain. So he keeps going out and looking for the cloud. And then finally he sees the cloud and he's like, it's going to rain. So all that to say, moments of really small interactions with guys, Andrea and I would take it and be like, it's going to rain. Like, these really small moments are leading to something bigger happening for me, which is awesome. So anyways, A good story that I wanted to share had to do with Andrea. We were living together, and we had been friends with some guys that just moved away, and we were like, okay, we want to start meeting guys. We need guy friends. Like, we want to date as well, but like guy friends would be awesome. So we go to like this.
Start somewhere.
You got to start from the bottom, you know? Friendship is awesome. So
not that men are at the bottom, but
no. Gotta start friendship and then you can go to dating. Like that's
friendship's at the bottom. You're trying to get to marriage.
Yeah, you gotta start building, you know? Bottom up.
I hear you. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Okay.
Exactly. So we go to this young adults group and I happen to meet this guy. We like chat for maybe 15, 20 minutes. And I'm not thinking anything like romantic. I'm like thinking like, oh, this was like a good conversation. And I think he found out like where I worked in that conversation. A couple days later, I'm working. He comes in and I was like, oh, hello there. He comes up and talks to me and he's like, hey, so I don't know if you'd be interested, but like my my housemates and I, we like love to play games. I know that you live with some girls, like was wondering if you wanted to come over for a game night sometime. And first of all, I was like, praise God, because I was like not really keen to go on a date with this guy, but I was like, oh, perfect. Like I want guy friends. My friends need guy friends. This is perfect. So I was like, yeah, that'd be awesome. So he gets my number and then we like set up a time. Few days later, Andrea and our other roommate and me go over to his house. They welcome us in. We meet the roommates.
I forgot this story.
It's coming back, isn't it?
It's so good. Okay, continue.
So we go in and meet the roommates and they're like, awesome. Well, you guys have a great night. We're going to go see a movie. Bye. And they leave. And it is the three of us with this one guy. And all of us are like, what just happened? Like, where did the game night go? And so we were
crazy.
Later, we're like, okay, did they must have ditched him. Like, what happened? Because also this guy he's pretty shy and a bit like introverted. So I'm like, there's no way he planned to be alone with three women for a game night. And that's why
we're like
came.
These terrible friends.
So we have a game night with him, which was pretty awkward, but we made the best of it because we're champs. So we leave and we're all like reeling, like what happened? Come to find out later, he specifically told his roommates, like, no, I'm having some girls over. Like, if you could leave, that would be great.
Dude, messed up.
So anyways, he texted me after that and was like, would you want to hang out one-on-one sometime? And I was like, no, but thank you. So did not lead to more guy friends. We were really sad about it, but great story. So once again, relating to, okay, there was some activity, there was some movement. We're celebrating even the small things. So anyways,
sometimes the cloud dissipates into nothing. You're sitting at a game night with one man and your roommates.
This podcast is now about failure stories.
Oh, there's gonna be plenty.
Okay, we need
of
success.
those.
We need success, Kalli.
Okay, try to bring it back. But I want to touch on something that Lauren talked about, which is basically just like being open, like starting conversations, like finding ways to relate to people. I feel like is probably the easiest way to start talking to people. So like for me, if I'm like at church or something and I see somebody that I'm like, oh, like I'd like to try to talk to them, like I'll find a way to get closer to them and then just ask really simple questions like, oh, hey, like, I don't know if we've met, and I'll just like say my name and be like, have you been going here for a while? Like just finding easy ways to talk about something. It can be anything. But usually if it's at some kind of event, just start talking about the event, or like literally just finding a way where you're like, oh, we might have some kind of connection on this. Like whether it's like if it's Lauren at the gym, like easily talk about the gym, like just things like that. So yeah, finding ways to relate is huge. For me, with flirting, I just kind of like to come at people with like sarcasm and see if they can handle it, because that's
If they get it, they get it, you know?
yeah. And if they don't, like, really quickly, like, this isn't gonna work, because you would think that I hate you when it means I like you. So it's not gonna work. But I just personally like to really like banter with people. But like flirting is totally up to you as well. I think it has so much to do with like your personality, your preference. Like Lauren is really extroverted. I'm more of an introverted person. I do like strike up conversations with people and stuff, but I'm also much more like, I don't initiate as much, I would say, or just like in the same way. But I definitely like, I just try to talk to people, and I definitely like will kind of build like friendship first and then go from there. And I think that's also where I've seen the most fruit, is where I will genuinely just start talking to somebody and getting to know them. And from there too, you can see like, oh, would I actually want to go on a date with somebody, rather than just you see someone across the room and you're like, yeah, that's it, I want to go on a date with them. But just getting like simple conversations, you can really start to get a read on like, okay, like, is this someone I'd want to spend some time with, and just like get to know a bit more. So yeah, those are some thoughts.
Kalli,
And the great thing about
go ahead.
Sorry.
Go
I
ahead,
was just
Dre.
gonna say, the great thing about that is like, if you get to know them on a friend level and you're like, you know what, I don't think we're gonna date, you don't have to have a conversation about it. It's just like, you know, it's just a very low stakes way to get to know somebody. And yeah. Lauren, what were you gonna say?
Well, I was going to say Callie's really good at being authentically herself in the way that she flirts. So she's not trying to be like somebody else, and she's not trying to get at them in a sense. She's just literally like, I'm being playful with you because I enjoy you. Do you have a fun story of like flirting with someone that, yeah, just like, I don't know. I love hearing stories.
Gosh, I do, but my mind is semi-blank right now. So maybe
I have a couple. I think of like Target.
Oh my gosh, Target.
Wait, you
Target.
have a couple of Callie
Wait.
stories, or you have some of your own?
I
That's
could like
so
call out
funny.
Target. I could talk Roots. I feel like there was somebody. We've got some history here, so I don't know if that
gosh.
jogs some memory.
But I'm remembering some things now. Okay, so I'm not gonna say where exactly.
Yeah, she can't say where. That's like a dead giveaway.
But one of my jobs I worked at, okay, one of these boys I worked with, he and I were just like super playful. Like, well, okay, I back it up a little bit. I thought he was cute at first, and just sometimes it's silly, but you can kind of like start ignoring people if you like think they're attractive. I do that sometimes. So I kind of was like, like, I think this guy knows he's attractive, so I'm just not gonna like play into that. But at some point, like, I was just like, well, like, we work together, like, I might as well just like get to know him. So I just started like throwing him under the bus just to see how he would react, because I was like, we have no relationship, so I have no loss here if it doesn't go well. And so he just started like throwing it back at me. So we just had this like kind of rapport of like always like teasing each other and stuff. And so he's definitely like my work crush. And so that went on for like a couple of months, and it was just like really funny and like super innocent. Nothing like really happened from it. He did get my number at one point, I will say that. But yeah, it was just like it was just really playful and really fun. And like, honestly, I never thought he'd get my number, like based on when I first like met him and stuff. So I was like, wow, like that actually like went somewhere, because I was myself. Like, I actually like was like, I can be playful with this guy, and maybe it will lead somewhere, maybe it won't, but it went somewhere I didn't expect, because I was myself, and I was like, let's just like have fun and see what happens. So Yeah. Thanks, Lauren, for remembering my flirting story.
That's what we're here for. And I remember that person wanted to get to know you, but then you're just like, no, I don't want to continue it past this. And so like it's creating that momentum. And then you're just like, actually, I'm not interested in anything further than this. And so
totally.
Yeah.
That's right.
I just wanted to touch on a couple things from both of what you guys said. You have nothing to lose. Like, that's what the great thing is, like, about all of these interactions is the most you have to lose is, like, maybe a little hit to your ego.
Which is good for everyone.
Yeah.
Which is
healthy.
good for us. Yeah. But there's nothing to lose. Like, honestly, even if you have a friend and you're like, I'm really crushing on this person, like, I think I have more feelings in my heart for them that go beyond friendship, like, just talk to them about it. Like, it does not, if it ruins your friendship, I think that says more about them probably, that they weren't able to just have like a conversation, a very real adult conversation about like, hey, I have feelings, where are you at? If they don't, then great, go back to being friends if you can, you know, like it kind of depends on the situation. But it's very rarely do you actually have something to lose, like if you just have a conversation about, you know, how you're feeling, or if you just initiate with a really cute guy.
Yeah, that's really good.
No, I think that's good too, Dre, of touching on like not living.
I think I was gonna say, sorry.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Go for it.
Nope, sorry, I didn't have anything else to say. Okay, Lauren.
No worries. I think Dre, I think also you were touching on like living a life of like no regrets. Like don't hold back. Like don't regret that situation, you know, even if it doesn't end up being how you want it to be. But Dre, I would be not confused. I want to hear like, how have you created momentum in your dating life? How have you gotten dates? Like, what has worked for you as you have been on this dating journey for a while as well?
Yes, I would love to share that with you, Lauren. Thank you.
Will you share it with me too?
And Kalli.
Thank you.
And everyone.
All
listening.
of us.
Everyone out there. I feel like I'm going to get like to the root a little bit, because this actually was such a huge game changer for me. And I'm not really like a woo-woo person, but I feel like this sounds a little bit woo-woo.
Wait,
it's not like
explain woo-woo, please.
Like it sounds like not practical. It sounds kind of like out there, I guess. Like, and it's like, it's not something that's like tangible, you know, like, so yeah, it's maybe like spiritual, I guess. And I do think it's biblical, which I can talk about, but just really working on like what I believe has been a big deal. And I remember as a kid, my mom would be like, what you believe matters. And I was like, Mom, that's ridiculous. Like, it's all happening inside my head. Like, that has nothing, like, you know, like it's not, since it wasn't like a tangible thing that I could touch, I was like, there's no way this is affecting anything. But then I took this course where they like really made you just look at your beliefs. And I mean, it is like it's not just woo woo. It's like, this is like psychology. They've like looked at this, and your subconscious mind is operating, right? Like you have beliefs in your subconscious mind that maybe you realize, maybe you don't, but you basically pick them up as a child from your experiences. And then you carry them with you unless you challenge them in some way. So I was actually carrying around a lot of beliefs about people, because I was a new kid like multiple times as a child. And so some of the beliefs I had were like, oh, people don't really want to talk to me. And I'm not really like welcome in like conversations or new spaces, and people don't really want to be my friend. I know.
Wow. Yeah.
It sounds sad, but I don't know if I could have told you like that's what was going on until I like really took a look at it and thought about it. But I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, like that's what I believe. And so once I started challenging those and being like, I don't think that's true. Like, people do want to talk to me. Like, people do want to connect with me. And I was like, I actually have so many good friends. Like, people do want to be my friend.
That's us. Yeah, we're here.
And so, yeah. And even just like, I mean, you could do, mine were like just people in general, but you could do like dating ones specifically, you know, like guys are interested in talking to me, you know, like those kind of things. Cause you might have some belief going on that they're not really interested in talking to you, or that, yeah, you're not the type of girl that guys just like initiate conversations with or break the ice with or anything. So, I kid you not, this is wild. When I started working on these beliefs, I had, within the span of maybe like 4 months, I think I had like 5 different guys come up to me out of the blue and try to date me.
I was a witness to this. One happened at church. I watched it happen.
Yeah. Kalli watched one of them. Yeah. This just guy at church asked me if I was single.
So
yeah,
good.
The message had kind of mentioned it. I think it wasn't like totally out of nowhere. But
I
yeah,
don't know if it did. You weren't even there for the message. You were out, and then you came back in.
That's true. That is true. I was not there for the message.
This is a Christian podcast. You need to be at the message.
I was socializing for most of the message. But,
that's amazing.
Which I don't condone. But anyway.
No. Oh, no. Yeah, socialize. Wait, what were some of the beliefs, Stray, that you were saying?
I mean, that's what's weird is a lot of mine are the ones I said. Like, they had to do with just people in general. I didn't have a lot that, like, were specific to dating, I guess. Like, I just, like, in general was like, oh, just people don't want to, like, talk to me. So once I started, I hadn't even looked at my dating specific beliefs yet when I started, like, just, because I think what happened is I just was more, like, open to the world. Like, I just, instead of being like kind of reserved and like closed off and just wanting to stay in my own little like corner, you know, like I was like ready to have conversations with people and inviting connection, like you know, whether it was like with the barista or just like whoever was sitting next to me or whatever. But yeah, there was a couple guys at coffee shops who came up to me and just said like, hey, I think you're attractive. Like, I saw you sitting over here. Would you want to like go on a date sometime? There's 2 of those guys. There's the church guy. Maybe there were more than that.
I feel like there were more.
Oh, I think there was another guy at like a youth event that I don't know if he asked me on a date. He started talking to me though. But anyway,
That's right.
There was a lot of different things.
Too many to count.
Too many.
So just to clarify for those listening,
yes,
you had negative beliefs about you that then you decided I'm going to start claiming, believing in my head that I have these like positive beliefs about yourself.
Yeah.
And then that created an openness that you then started to see things change around you because you changed your beliefs.
Yes.
Anything else you want to put into that? Yeah.
Well, to like kind of maybe put some legs on it and give you like the practicals of it, like the questions I would ask are like, why will I not be able to find someone? Like, why will I not be able to find the kind of marriage or love or relationship that I want? Like, when you ask yourself that question and then just get really honest, don't say the answers that like you're supposed to say, you know, like what are your real answers? What comes to mind as like, this is what's disqualifying me. And like it might, so I'm really tall. So that's been one of mine that I've had to deal with in the past is like, oh, guys aren't interested in me because I'm like taller than them or as tall as a lot of them. Or I'm not super extroverted. I'm not super bubbly. So my personality is not what they're interested in. And just, whatever you think is a disqualifier, like just write it all down and then challenge those, because usually, like, I don't think I've ever run into one where I was like, this is like 100% true. You know, there might like, there's guys who are interested in all kinds of people. Like some guys are interested in girls, you know, who are super tall. Some guys are interested in like girls who are really thin or really curvy, like all different like body types, all different looks, like all different personalities, like all different humor. So if there's something in your head that you're like, guys aren't interested in that, not true. So you're listing everything out, like what disqualifies me, and most of it is a limit that you have in your head. It's not a real limit. And the other thing that happens, this is, you know, psychologists say this, okay?
According to research.
According to research that I don't know what the reference is, but there's this thing called confirmation bias, and like it's the same thing as if you bought a red car and then you go out the next day and you are noticing red cars left and right. It's not because there's more red cars out there. It's because you had something happen where now you're paying attention to the red cars. So it's the same thing in your brain with your beliefs. If you believe that no men are interested and no men want to talk to you, that's what you're going to see. You're going to see no men being interested in you. If you believe that men are interested in talking to you, you're going to notice every single time a man, you know, tries to come up to you and talk, or just acknowledges you or whatever. You're going to notice whatever your brain is looking for, because your brain is looking for evidence to prove whatever you believe. So, there's more that if you really want to unpack this topic, you can, but all I really want to say is it's like crazy how much this changed things for me. So writing them all out and then challenging them all. And then you can even like if there's some like, oh, I never initiate conversations, then you're not like you thinking like, oh yeah, I'm super bubbly and I initiate conversations all the time, might be a jump. So instead you can switch your belief to, I'm becoming someone who initiates conversations more, or something like that. Like however you have to do it to like, you know, make it feel like something that you can actually believe. 'Cause you don't want to just put a bunch of like fake things in your mind, but
like making it attainable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good.
And your brain can tell if it's just something that you're like total, like this is not true at all. So yeah, that's been like a huge thing that's created a lot of movement, and it kind of tags on to what Kalli said about celebrating the cloud the size of a man's fist.
Yeah, bring in that scripture reference. Right.
That's right. Confirmation bias, aka the cloud the size of a man's fist.
Like any other scriptures?
Oh, I'm sure
Actually, do. There is a scripture. I think it's in Joshua. Look at me, like research
You
the
think?
scripture somewhere.
Oh my gosh, we sound so valid right now. Okay, continue.
It's in Joshua. It's the story of Joshua and Caleb when they go into the land and they're spying out the land. And there's 12 spies that go in there, and everybody except Joshua and Caleb. So they all see the same thing. They all have the same experience. Everyone except Joshua and Caleb are like, we can't do this. They're just giants. Like, this is unattainable. We're too small. And there's literally a verse that says, we were grasshoppers in our own eyes, and so we were to them.
Dang,
which is like it's exactly what this is talking about. Like, they were small in their own eyes, and so that's how they looked to these people. And Joshua and Caleb, who had the same experience, were like, no, we think we got this. Like, we believe that God can do this and he's bigger. And so, you know, it's a very similar thing. I saw that verse and I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. But it's you, like, whatever you believe about yourself or your dating life or other people or God, like, those things matter.
So good. Come on.
Also, Andrea, can you share a story of when you got a date from the beliefs
Yes.
that you believed.
Yes. Yeah, I shared a couple, but I will say this is like a more recent one. So I've been working on, I recently got out of a relationship. So I've had to like, I'm really going through this healing process, and I've been really trying to like look at my beliefs, because especially when you get out of a relationship, they can get kind of messed up, because you're like, there's no hope for me. Like,
Totally.
dating's the worst. Like, it never works out. So if you're not like dealing with that stuff, it'll stick around. So anyway, I was like, nope, I'm gonna like make sure that I stay hopeful, and I believe that like I'm still attractive, and there's still men out there who want to talk to me, even though I'm older than I was last time I was in the dating pool. And I feel a little more jaded.
Wrinkled. Just a little bit more wrinkled.
Yeah.
And then I went into this coffee shop, and I see this guy. We make eye contact, and I just kind of smile at him like a neighborly smile, like we just made eye contact, like
He was like, those eyes, I can't. She's into me.
The point is, I was not like trying to be super flirty with my face or anything, and
just my body. No.
and
Exactly, Cal.
and so then so we order our drinks, we're waiting for our drinks, and he strikes up a conversation with me, and he's just like, starts asking me questions and asking me about what I do and stuff. And then we just are like casually talking there while we wait for our drinks. And then he's like, would you want to sit down and chat some more? And I was like, sure. So we went and sat down. We talked for like an hour and a half. And then at the end of it, he was like, would it be okay if I got your number? And I was like, sure.
Amazing.
Because it was a good conversation,
That's right.
And it was, it was
And
like
you're
very
cute.
That's right.
And not only am I cute, but I believe that I'm cute.
That's what I'm talking about. That's how you got that guy.
Yep. That's
And
it.
all of you out there, you're cute too. Okay, believe it.
Yeah. Believe it. Oh.
Believe
So
it.
good.
But
So good. But
I know
what were-
Lauren. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Lauren.
I was going to say, what were some of the things you were believing going into that? Because I remember you were like, hey, I've been practicing positive beliefs about myself. And then this freaking happened.
Yeah.
So what were some of the things you were thinking just to practically help people like have ideas?
Yeah. No. I mean, like part of it was what I said. I was like, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a year and a half older than last time I was in the dating pool, and like some people are like, that's not that much older, but it feels like it when you're in your 30s. Or just that I was like, I did feel a little jaded. Like I was like, who's gonna want to talk to me? Like I like feel cynical, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna partner with hope, not even because I necessarily feel it, but just because I know that hope is the most life-giving thing that I could partner with. Like, it's not even that I can logically look at my situation and be like, yep, there's so much hope for me. But it's more just like, no, like if there's any reason for me to have hope, like what is it? Because I know that hope is powerful. And I know that like the Bible says that I have a hope in a future. So that's what I need to be looking at. And if it's only this much, if it's only the size of a man's fist,
That's right.
I'm gonna think the heck out of like that small piece of hope. But this is another thing I was doing. I feel like I'm talking about this forever, but anyway.
It's good.
No, let's
Good.
do it. It's good examples, and
Okay.
we've got some things we'll give to the men too.
Good. Thank you. So I was like, I had read something that said, focus on like, and be thankful for the love that's already in your life. And so I was like waking up just being like, wow, God, like, thank you for my family that loves me. And I'm like so surrounded by support. And I have so many really great friends that love me, and like so many beautiful relationships in my life, and this church community that, you know, has supported me and has come around me, and like all of these different things. So I was thinking about like, man, I'm so blessed. Like I was going in there feeling like good about my life. Like I was like, I have so much to be thankful for. Like, which is true, you know, like when you really start to think about it, it's like, yeah, I'm like, there's so much that I've been given, you know?
So that thankfulness created an attraction, because that thankfulness was like, you're just like, I'm so thankful for what I have. And that created even like a positivity and attraction for people to even talk to you is some of what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I mean, happiness draws people in, you know, like I'm drawn to happy people.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm like, I want to be around that person. I want to feel like them, you know? Like,
yeah. Something I do want to point out that I've noticed this past podcast that we've been talking is none of us have mentioned anything to do with sexuality. We have not talked about like, I was trying to be super sexy or whatever. We've literally, when we're in such a sexualized culture, if you go online, it's like, I'm going to reveal the most revealing clothes. And hey, I wear sports bra and spandex every day because I am a coach. So like, but I'm not trying to be like sexualized. I'm not trying to manipulate or use my body to get people to date me. We're all talking about different ways that we are, through our confidence, through our personalities, through just the women who really value ourselves and we value other people. We are trying to create connections that we hope lead to dating and romance and like intimacy. So I just thought I want to note that because we're in such a sexualized culture that really uses one's body to create connection, which is a physical connection is a point, but I'm talking about the eroticized sexuality that is where our culture is really focused on to try to get a date or whatever. And so that's something that none of us have said because we're like, there's so many other ways than just that you can create connection. And honestly, I think all three of us don't want our relationships to be just based on like our sexuality and sex. You know, we want it to be based on like our personality and intimacy, friendship, and of course, romance. That is a big piece. So that's something I wanted to note on. I do want to give space for us to talk about specifically how to help guys date us.
Yes.
Like, how can we do that? I know we might have to do a part 2, but...
I know, man. Just like barely wading into the water on this, you know?
Yeah.
I was going to say, sorry, to tack on to what you said, Lauren, that is also rooted in a belief. If you think that the only way for me to get guys' attention is for me to give my body, that's a lie. Like, you don't have to be bound to that. Like, it's not even like we're trying to be like shaming. Like, we're trying to set you free. Like, that's a lie. And maybe there's stories or things that have happened from your past that made you believe that that's the only thing guys are interested in. But that's not true. Like, there's guys out there who want a real connection and want to protect you in that way. And yeah, just know that. Okay.
Yeah,
Totally.
And physical. Oh, go ahead,
Sorry.
Kalli.
I was just gonna tack on to it as well. But like, if you're wanting like a good guy, like, yeah, I would just say if you are promoting your body, if you're wearing certain clothes that are attracting guys like that, like, it's not gonna be the guy that you want. It's gonna be someone who is. It's going to be very surfacey. It's going to be very like physical attraction based, and then it's going to burn out. So if you want something that's going to last, like, you have to build it on more than just physical attraction. So that's all I was going to say.
Yeah. No, that's so good. Because I think again, it can be so many different layers. Like, I don't wear much clothes all the time just because of like the industry I'm in with like working out, but I'm not sexualizing my body. I don't know how to explain it better than that. There's a way where you can sexualize yourself and then also be like, no, I'm like a respected human being. And I think that's important to know. And then also I think it's what you allow when it comes to like flirting, texting, whatever. And all of us have had guys make like sexual comments towards us, and then we're like, okay, actually that's not like the type of relationship I want.
Yeah.
And so we had to like stop it at different times. Like I had a guy that I was getting to know online, really fun, great flirting, great connection. I thought he was super cute. And then he started to make really perverted comments towards me and my body. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm not, you're this is the wrong girl. And he was saying he was a Christian, but I just think it's like figuring out too, like what you're going to allow in your sphere of how you're going to be treated as well.
Yep. That's so good, Lauren.
Yeah.
Okay. So opening it up to both of you, what do you guys want from men as far as initiating, like what works, what has worked really well in the past? Like, just dive into it.
Yeah. I think for me, something that I've always just appreciated is like a level of boldness, which it doesn't even have to be that much, to be honest, but it is just somebody coming up and like being willing to talk to me, get to know me, with intentionality too, of like, just like, I don't know how to put it better, but then like actually trying to get to know me. There have been people that have asked me out like in person that normally I'm like, I probably wouldn't have gone out with them, but the way that you like just went for it, like I'm actually like really impressed, and like, yeah, like maybe there is more to you than I thought. And so just, having some boldness, being a little bit forward, calling it a date, for crying out loud.
Yes.
Just because it can be confusing. You can be on a quote unquote date and be like, I don't know if we're just hanging out. What is this?
Absolutely true.
So just even calling it that, I think puts you at ease, knowing, oh, this is what we're going into. And that way too, you can be like, actually, like either, I'd like that, or, oh, I don't think so. It gets rid of the confusion. It gets rid of the in-between. And just like, I feel like it also puts like a level of ownership over that, which I think is really attractive. Like a man being like, I want to go on a date with you. Like, I love that. Rather than being like, oh, I don't know if she'll like say yes if it's a date. Like, I would way rather have someone just be forward and call it a date than not. So those are some of my thoughts off the bat. Lauren,
love it.
What do you got, girl?
I think some tips, like for me and maybe other women, a couple of things is, I love when people are consistent, like they follow through, like they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna reach out to you, or I want to take you on a date, and they just follow through. I'm like, oh, like that creates just an element of trust, of the follow through of who they are. I'm old school, and I know guys sometimes are like, I don't know what to do, but I love when guys like open the door for me or pay for me or whatever, or at least offer. Like, it just means so much. And I think as strong women, guys are like, I don't know, are they like a feminist or whatever? And it's just, I think the chivalry, like, bring it back, it's so great, and it means a lot, when guys are just caring. So I think that's something. But what has helped me, I think, when it comes to like being attracted to men, is when they just want to have fun and like do fun things. I think because we're all working and serious all the time, like doing stuff like outside of church, like not over spiritualizing things. Like, I think when people go super over spiritual, I don't know why that's just a turnoff, even though I love the Lord so much, but I'm like, I don't want to just like date you at church. Like, I don't want to have a Bible study with you. Like, I want to go on a hike or like go get coffee, and it just like making like a natural flow of connection of normal life is really life-giving. Like making a meal or something like that, where it's really low stakes. Low stakes for me is like a big deal, not making it high stakes. Like, are you going to marry me or not? That creates like an ease where I think, I can be more in my skin. Something too is I do appreciate, and this is something that I want to do more too, is like giving me like a second or a third date. Sounds funny, but I think on the first date, you're just not fully yourself. Or if you're just sitting doing coffee, like you don't really get to show all the sides of your personality. Like it's more like just, you know, it's when you start to get around each other's friends or you're doing like an activity that I think you get to see more the goofiness of somebody. Like you get to see their personality come out and when they're more relaxed. And so I don't know. I feel like you can get a second or a third date if someone you're interested. It just seems like you can see more of who they are.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What about you, Dre?
Yeah, I mean, I probably would echo a lot of what you guys said. There's something so impressive, and it just makes me respect guys a lot when they just own their feelings. Like, even if it's just like, I think you're attractive, just like clear communication. Even if it's like, I think you're attractive and I would like to get to know you better. You know, it doesn't even have to be like, and I'm ready to take you on a date right now. You know, like it's like, no, there's like a, you know, foundational level of attraction here, and I'd like to just see what happens, you know? And just there's so much safety that it creates when guys are just like, here's exactly what's in my mind, and here's, you know, where I see this going. Even if you can't see that far in front of you, like tell her how far you can see, you know, like I can see us hanging out this weekend if you're up for it. Like I don't know beyond that, but I'm really interested in that, you know, like there's just something really great about that. And I appreciate like when a guy is willing to just do a little like friendship building up front. I think dating feels like it just works so much better if you have some trust built with the person. So I like that when guys are like, I just want to build, you know, a little bit of a friendship with you first. Like, I think that's so great. So
That's really good.
yeah.
And I think with that too, like a really practical way, again, is if you guys go to the same gym or like there's something you're like, okay, well, I know that they go there at this time. I can plan to be there at that time. So just like finding ways to interact with them more is going to be like really beneficial to you. And like Andrea said, you don't have to come out of the gate necessarily like, okay, I'd love to go on a date, but you're just like, okay, I'm just going to build a little bit here. That really goes a long way. And again, can help you be like, oh yeah, this is someone I would like to get to know better. Or you're like, actually, no, it's not. So,
yep.
yeah.
And it's actually, I respect guys so much when they take rejection well too. Like, I'm like, that is a confident, healthy man if he can take rejection well. Like, or if he can take me maybe wanting to move slower than he wants to move. Like, just patience. Oh my gosh, patience.
So attractive.
It is so attractive. Like, I don't need you to be where I'm at. I'm a secure enough man that if you're not at the same level as me, like I can handle that. It's so attractive. So
yeah.
Anyway, any final thoughts, guys?
Yeah, I have like one where I was thinking of in terms of communication for guys for tips as well. And this goes vice versa. But picking up the phone and calling or like FaceTiming or not just a text or, you know, like actually coming to my door when we're going on a date and walking me to my car. Like just these physical things of communication of like, I value you goes such a long way.
Yes.
Agreed.
That woman is like, oh, I'm meaningful to that person. Like I've had so many friends be like, that guy walked me to my car. Like just the simple things, like these simple actions go so far. When I had a guy that I was dating, he was like, hey, can I just FaceTime you? I'd like to just see your face. I was like, oh, I gotta, pull myself together. But it just meant a lot. It's like, oh, he wants to see me. He doesn't want to just like text me whenever he can. So these extra ways of communicating value, not just like texting, I think or like Instagramming, DMing, I think can go really far.
Yeah. Something else I wanted to say to that is just because of the way culture is right now, everything is so like, I don't even know, not in the physical. It is over a device. It's over a screen. That's how so many people are meeting, how people are asking each other out. So there is just a severe lack of like physical in-person interaction. And so I think just like reclaiming that skill, because it's just really sad. Like, especially, you know, if you talk to your parents or grandparents about what dating was like for them, it was all like in person, or they'd call you on the phone. And it's just like we've kind of lost that a little bit as a society. So when a guy actually does show up physically or do something like that, it goes such a long way. Yeah, it really does.
That's so good.
We're old school.
That's right.
I think there's more than we think, though.
No, there is.
I just talked to so many women, and we obviously you can't read our minds, so sorry. But
Yeah.
I have so
Sorry
many
about that, guys.
conversations, and it just seems like women really do appreciate like the action, like you said, Kalli.
Yeah. Love that. Guys, great podcast.
Well
Guys
done.
out there, I'm sorry if girls have been a little hard on you about like you trying to initiate, and maybe you were just trying to be a nice guy and they thought you were being creepy. Like, I'm sorry. Sometimes we can get like that, and it doesn't mean that you necessarily did anything wrong. So don't let it make you feel like you can't take risks. Like, if you're a nice guy, she'll see that if you get a chance to actually talk to her. So yeah.
And then for the women, we encourage you all to take risks and try something out. Try asking someone out, initiating a conversation, creating some banter and flirting. Like, see if someone can do an activity that you like with them, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's definitely ways for us as women to get a date.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Okay. Guys, this is so great. Great chatting with you. And all of you out there, thank you for listening. I hope this encourages you. I hope it was practical too. And I hope you get a date, and you should DM us and let us know if you get a date.
The testimonials.
We want to hear.
Or call us.
Well,
'cause
we're
we talked
cheering you
about
on.
Not DMing. Come to our doors.
They don't have
and
our
tell
number.
us.
They don't, they don't have our number, Lauren.
It's for the best. I don't want them to. I don't want them to come.
They're getting mixed messages. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Bye.
Love you all. Bye.
Bye.